And I'll hand over to you, Caroline.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Robert. Everyone hear me okay?
All
Yep.
good.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to you all. So as Robert said, my name is Caroline Kennedy, and I manage the IT department in the Law Society of Ireland. So myself and four other very, very capable members of the IT team look after everything IT-wise in the Education Centre of the Law Society of Ireland. So thanks, Rob, for inviting me to speak to you all today. And look at thank you all for joining. Fantastic to have so many of you here, passionate about the future of education and technology. So I suppose, look, we are in an exciting space where I suppose innovation is happening so fast. And this presentation is a look back at how we in the Law Society of Ireland use Moodle as our learning technology ecosystem and how it caters, I suppose, for the needs of the professional legal education. Okay, so one moment. Okay, so yeah, so I suppose here's our beautiful building in Blackhall Place in Dublin, for any of you who are not familiar with it. I suppose the question is, look at who are we? Who is the Law Society of Ireland? Um, so we've representative, we have regulatory, we have educational functions in respect of the solicitor's profession in Ireland. And look at, I suppose, looking at regulation and representation at a very basic level, we enforce compliance, ethical standards, we engage with government on legal reform. But in relation to the education side of things, and to put context as to why we're using Moodle in the Law Society of Ireland and who our community of learners are, I'll briefly explain our courses. Okay, so the Law Society of Ireland, we have vested exclusive jurisdiction in relation to the provision of courses and the holding of examinations for those seeking to become a solicitor in Ireland. So you have to do your FE1 entrance examinations with us, and then after successfully completing those examinations, if you want to qualify as a solicitor, you have to come through the Law Society of Ireland and you must complete the professional practice course with us. We refer to it as the PPC. So we have two training programs that we currently run for those who want to qualify as a solicitor. So it's the professional practice course, which is full-time. Our students or trainees, as we refer to them, come into us in September and they stay with us until July, and then they go back out into the office and they have practical experience there, and then they come and join us again for more advanced courses. And then we have the hybrid professional practice course. And this is part-time, so it allows our learners to continue to work while they're doing the course with us. The courses are entirely, well, almost entirely delivered by practicing solicitors and members of staff who are also solicitors. So we have in excess of 1,000 practicing solicitors who are involved in the delivery of the courses, and they are known as our associate faculty. And so, yeah, the students must have completed the FE1 and then have a training solicitor in order then, as I said, to come on the course. The next tier of learners are the students of the Diploma Centre. So the Diploma Centre offer postgraduate courses for solicitors and other legal and non-legal professionals, supporting the Law Society of Ireland's, I suppose, commitment to long life learning in the legal profession. So they deliver over 30 diploma and certificate courses annually. And these courses are part-time, they're flexible, they're ideal for working professionals, and they are run fully online, some of them blended and some of them hybrid, but they are evening and weekend courses to suit professional learners. And our final tier of learners are learners with the Law Society Professional Training Department. So these, I suppose, another cornerstone of of the Law Society's commitment to professional learning for our solicitors. And they offer, I suppose, courses, conferences, resources that sometimes are in person, fully online, masterclasses, seminars. But again, any courses that we touch are done through Moodle. So just to give you an idea again of these courses at a glance, I mentioned the professional practice course, the hybrid professional practice course. We have advanced electives, so we run 24 advanced electives over the course of a year. We would have transitional year students that join us, probably about 13,000 of those annually. We are running a MOOC, which I'll talk to you about at the end. We have an LLM, we have a dip in law. We're starting with micro-credentials come September. So there's going to be 20 more new courses that we are offering to legal and non-legal professionals starting this year in September. So yes, I suppose looking at the professional practice course, most of these courses are like 24 lectures, and then that would be an hour long. And then you've got the majority of them would be on average 17 tutorial hours, or 17 tutorials across the course, which would be about 1.5 hour long. And then for diploma courses, they're always evening and weekend courses, and they would do lectures, and then they would have workshops as well. Okay, so I suppose how have we gone from, from the traditional way of teaching and learning that we had in the college? We were very, very much paper-based. The legal profession, I suppose, would be very much paper-based, but we had a huge amount of printed materials that were given out to all of our students. There was one-to-one lectures, lectures on site, tutorials on site. Everything was printed. So, for example, a basic thing like the timetable, it was printed. If it was updated, it was printed. When the students were doing assessments, they had to come into reception and put them into the assessment box at reception. All the legislation was printed. When it came to assessment times, there was a huge demand for terminals in the college, and a huge demand for terminals, say, before a tutorial. They had to print out stuff. And at the evening and the weekends, there's a huge demand on staff to be on site because the learners had to come into the college, and that restricted our audience as well because they had to make it to Dublin to do the different courses. So so how have we gone, I suppose, to this blended teaching model? And it's simply, I suppose the answer is Moodle. So Moodle and the integrated tools like Zoom and Panopto. The courses delivered now by the Law Society of Ireland are leveraging our Moodle platform, and we refer to our Moodle platform as the hub. So this is our logon page here for all our learners. It's our one-stop portal for all of our learners. We've been using Moodle in the Law Society of Ireland for nearly 20 years. That was very, very small steps to start with, and I suppose maybe we've taken giant leaps over the last number of years. And just explaining our Moodle setup in the Law Society, because I said we're a very small team. We don't have a dedicated Moodle team. So what our setup is that we have a hosting model. Our Moodle platform is externally hosted by Innovation Solutions. They're based in Dublin, and they're responsible for our server maintenance, our backup, disaster recovery, security patches, and the core system upgrades and updates. So like standard for a hosting arrangement. And then internal management, all platform management, user support, configuration is handled by us in-house, the IT team. We look after the account provisioning, the shell setup of the courses, the themes, the plugin integrations, and then the examination results, all of that is done through Moodle. But once the pages are set up, we hand them over to the course team. And then I suppose we have the collaborative support then between ourselves and innovation in relation to look at UAT testing, rollouts of upgrades and all of that. So I suppose we obviously had to have a vision to start the process all those years ago, and our vision has changed and has been updated down through the years. But it's it's a vision to be connected, engaged, empowered, and an empowered community of learners. So I suppose our vision is to have a dynamic community of learners where Moodle is more than an LMS. It's the digital heart of academic life in the Law Society of Ireland, and it enables connection, collaboration, and continuous professional legal education. So through Moodle, we're aiming to grow our learning ecosystem, to keep it inclusive, keep it interactive, keep it learner-centered, where every trainee every student, educator and professional is supported in their pursuit of knowledge and their professional development. And looking at some elements of the vision, I suppose we're constantly trying to foster peer-to-peer learning through the forums, through the group projects, through reflective exercises, our dispute resolution courses, business law courses, conveyancing courses. They use a lot of peer-to-peer learning and a lot of forums that are monitored and unmonitored to get the students to foster that I suppose community. Our Moodle platform really breaks down barriers of time and place for us, enabling, I suppose, that flexible access for our diverse learners, particularly adult learners, those on the hybrid course. They're working during the day and they're logging on in the evenings and the weekends to catch up with whatever content is available. Our diploma course students, they come in at evenings or they log on at evenings and weekends. Our diploma in aviation law is an example of this, of how we've been able to support adult professional learning, not just in Ireland, but worldwide. I mentioned that we use iPads, or may have mentioned that we use iPads on our professional practice course. And just to give you a little bit of an insight into this, because this has helped with our delivery of our courses through Moodle. So our one-to-one iPad program was introduced back in 2011. It was a game changer really for the professional practice course, because the iPad is part of their course fee, and we've reduced the costs of enabling that to happen by not printing bundles and bundles of materials and books. So Select in Dublin is our Apple partner on this project. From day one, the iPad belongs to the trainee. We set up everything on day one, their 365, their Moodle, their Panopto, and from there on, Moodle on their iPad, I suppose, is really their Bible. Everything is accessible through Moodle. And you know, it really holds the three pillars for the course: their email, their Moodle, their Panopto. So yeah, I mentioned earlier on, I suppose Moodle has really helped us to break down that the barriers of location. And the diploma in aviation law is one of those barriers. So I suppose, yeah, the Diploma Centre has really leveraged the Moodle platform to dramatically broaden its educational reach, providing high quality legal education to a diverse international audience. So it has removed the need for physical attendance, enabling learners from Europe and beyond to access diploma courses. And this has been particularly beneficial for Irish qualified solicitors based overseas who want to upskill. And obviously Moodle's asynchronous setup allows learners to take full control of their learning and schedule it around work and personal commitments. And that's true as well for the hybrid course. The Moodle forums have really helped to foster virtual communities of legal learners, sparking international connections, professional working and cross-pollination of legal perspectives. And we have really found that with certain diploma courses. Yeah, so let's look at our core. It's our core, as I said, it's our core learning platform providing structured delivery, structured academic content, assessments, and course engagement tools. And looking back, and part of our vision is that standardized layout and dedication to structure, which is really key for us. Professional legal education, Moodle allows us to impose clarity, consistency, structure, not just in the way the content is delivered, but the way it's presented and it's accessed. Standardized Moodle courses in its layout has to be very, very clear for our learners. There's no fluff required. It ensures that all our learners experience, I suppose, coherent, reliable, navigable learning environments, enhancing cognitive focus for learners and allowing the learners to focus on the substance of the legal material rather than looking and wondering where it is. We have this very, very structured approach that we've worked on for years actually to get it right. This is just an example of what our professional practice course for our full-time students see when they log on. So we have our course divided into different headings: knowledge, and thinking skills. There's 2 examples there. And then we've got this kind of a Netflix style where they can scroll across their courses, and then once they click in, they can then see a structured layout. So just to show you that structured layout example, this is, again, it's taken us a long time to get to this structured layout, but it's very, very clear for the students on the professional practice course. And it's very important that each team follow this same layout. We've got our uniform headings of lectures, tutorials, course information. So helps the learners instinctively locate resources and learning content. The legal training demands vigorous thinking, attention to detail, organised workflows. So these structured courses mirror the expectations of the learners, and the feedback is, as I mentioned previously, they don't want fluff. They just want it very, very clearly laid out so they know exactly where it is. And the standardised approach ensures that all our learners, regardless of their digital literacy, we can't presume, that just because they're coming in that they know exactly how to use Moodle or digital technology. So these can engage confidently with the course material. And again, it helps the IT team because we've got so many learners that are remote. It really reduces the amount of I suppose, tickets that have been raised through the help desk. Academic staff, the standard layout reduces the time spent designing from scratch. And it also then enables automated workflows because obviously there's assignment submissions, grading rubrics, Panopto video embeds, and they're constantly and consistently used across the different courses. And then another benefit of this standardized layout is when we are upgrading, in that the platform, for example, when we're upgraded to Moodle 4.5, which we're in the middle of doing at the moment, it's each of the courses are consistent, and it makes the upgrade more scalable and more maintainable. Yeah, so you can just see here, for example, for lectures, everything under module 1 is included in module 1. The learners would have to go looking for it. And then if we just move to the way this is broken out, under module 1, you'll have your initiation session details, you'll have your learning outcomes, and then you'll have the different lectures that are included under module 1. And you have your link to view that lecture live, or if it's pre-recorded, or if it's already taken place, you can watch it on demand. So I suppose that leads us to our next pillar, which is Panopto. So we heavily use integrated tools in our Moodle, and I suppose there's tools and plugins that we use, but our number one video and lecture capture tool that we use is Panopto. And Panopto was, for us, is really a lifesaver in the education department, because we first dipped our toe into webcasting in 2010, but we had a very hands-on system at the time, and then we used a system in addition to that called Cover It Live for questions. So it was very cumbersome. There was a lot of hands-on during the early days, and we would have ran with one diploma a week that was webcasted. And I mean, if we look where we are now, we are I suppose we started work with Panopto in 2015, and we are now on average running 20 courses a week, and that's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and all day and a Saturday, and that's just from the Diploma Centre alone. So they're all online using Panopto and using Moodle. So it has really been a game changer for us. Moodle and Panopto is so powerful together. They're a powerful ecosystem for delivering engaging, flexible, high quality learning content. Just for those of you that don't know Panopto, and I shouldn't assume, it's a lecture capture, video management streaming system, and it supports recording, editing, and hosting of video content. And we are massive fans of Panopto in the Law Society of Ireland. This just kind of gives you an idea of what we are, I suppose, our teaching formats. So on it, like for our full-time students, they would come into the lecture theatre, they would have a live lecture, but we would record it on Panopto. It's edited afterwards and it's made available on Moodle. Some of them are not edited. We've pre-recorded lectures that are done through Panopto. So this is all our associate faculty. They could be based anywhere in the country. They'll download Panopto. We'll give them an account. they'll record, it's uploaded to our Panopto cloud, and then we can do whatever edits are needed to get that then up on Moodle. And then look, we also run live workshops, live tutorials. They're done with Zoom, and then we have it automatically set up that it goes straight over to Panopto, and we can do whatever's needed with that. For our advocacy course, we heavily use Panopto as well. So I suppose, look at stats wise, we just if I just give you an example, for the month of April, we'd over 600 recordings done in Panopto just for the month of April alone. So that was like associate faculty recordings, recordings on site, and then also recordings of students who were on the civil advocacy course. So yeah, look, we really leverage Moodle on the civil advocacy course. It's a powerful pedagogy tool that supports that skill development that's needed, because we record the mock trials, we record the students doing pleadings, we record them making legal submissions. So watching the recording allows the learner to critically assess their own performance, their voice modulation, their body language, the structure of their argument. And then the tutors can give enhanced feedback using Panopto through Moodle, because they're able to pause, they're able to annotate, they're able to give, I suppose, targeted feedback of different moments rather than just giving an impression. So yeah, I suppose that's a good use of Panopto through Moodle in the college. And this is just for those who are not familiar with Moodle or with Panopto. This is the way we would lay out the recordings. You've got your lecturer, you've got your index here, and you've got your synchronized slides. And then you've also got your synchronized slides here where you can move and flow easily between them. You can bookmark, you can add notes, and it's all done through your single sign-on through Moodle. So it's saved and it's available for when you're going back over and I suppose organizing yourself for your exams. So
Another 2 minutes there, Caroline.
okay, yeah, I'll fly through this part. So look at, I mean, as I said, we're using it for so many professional development skills, for communication and for CPD progress, which is huge for us as well, that the CPD scheme, continual professional development, would look for different logs from us. Yeah, look at benefits and benefits for learners and for staff, faculty. Look at, I mean, it's on-demand, personalised learning, but just to kind of just go through a few challenges that we've had. So I suppose, yeah, getting the right course design is a huge challenge for us, and we've had to make sure that that is right from the staff or from the start. Working with staff that may be unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with Moodle forums, quizzes, questionnaires, because we're dealing with highly I suppose, skilled legal professionals, and we have to make sure that we're giving them the right guidance and learning guides to help them to produce Moodle on their courses, or Moodle quizzes, questionnaires, all of that. But pedagogy, I suppose, is a huge thing. The legal educators have to they have to have case arguments, so solutions and breakout tasks and subgroups and recorded discussions are all very important. But just one point to note for us, I suppose, we found that Mahara just hasn't worked for us through Moodle. We just found that the students, from the feedback that they gave us, was that they found that engaging deeply with all the activities on Moodle, the course assignments, the forums, the workshops, that they felt that already demonstrated their learning. Having to go on then to Mahara and to, I suppose, recreate that seemed almost redundant for them. But it is something that we're not giving up on, but we may look at going forward. Yeah, we are an Apple Distinguished School. I won't go through that with you now, but we're the first professional educator in Europe to have received that status. So that ties in with our use of the iPad on our courses. Yeah, I suppose just before I talk about our MOOC, just moving forward, we need to, obviously, we're upgrading to Moodle 4.5, so we're excited about the AI subsystem that's coming with that. It's going to allow us to connect our Moodle platform with an open AI platform, for example, and we'll be able to look at, generating text, generating images, content summarization. So looking forward to what that upgrade brings. we're also looking, I suppose, to micro-learning and breaking the content that we have into bite-sized, flexible formats for learning. So that will come with our micro-credential courses starting in September. I suppose, like, we have been with Moodle for 20 years. We want to stick with it, but we want to move forward. So I think experimentation, and also, the shift from seeing Moodle as not only a teaching tool, but to see it more than that and embracing it as a strategic platform that supports legal education, learner engagement, and long life professional development is very important for us. And just before I finish up, we have a second Moodle site in the Law Society of Ireland, and it is our MOOC site. And annually, we have an annual MOOC that we release for free, and everyone at this stage should know, obviously, that it's a massive open online course. It's free. It's presented by the Diploma Centre, and this year the theme is AI. So the course commences on the 10th of June, and it will be run across a 5-week period. It's open to everyone, not just legal folk. And to date, we've had over 30,000 participants from 88 countries worldwide since we launched it in 2014. So there is the link, MOOC 2025.lawsociety.ie, for anybody that wants to take part. As I said, it's free, short recorded online video releases. There'll be some quizzes, questionnaires, and participation in forums. And so far, we have over 3,000 people that have signed up to it. So as I said, it's opened to everybody. And yeah, so that's really it. I hope I didn't go over the time, Robert. Thank you all very, very much, and thanks.
Okay, slideshow, and I need to share my screen. Right, share. There we go. Right, hopefully everyone should now be able to see a full screen version of my slides.
All
Brilliant.
good.
Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. Thank you for the introduction. So my name's Leah. I'm going to be talking you through my playing around with Loop Lesson. I'm going to be, or Moodle Lesson, I'm going to be fairly brief because I think if there's time for questions at the end, that's probably more useful than the specifics of my electronic engineering stuff. So this talk is inspired by I'm a Nerd. I loved the Choose Your Own Adventure books as a kid, and I was wondering, is there a way to make student learning much more interactive as a way to work with a large class? So, okay. Right. So essentially what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk you through the educational design. So what was the design process that went into this? Then I'm going to talk a bit about the technical design of how I went about implementing it. And then finally, a few kind of takeaways, things that I found that might be helpful to other people as well. So the context or the challenge is what I'm talking about initially. So this comes from the practice of a first year module. So I'm responsible for a module called Introduction to Electronics. And coming into that filter, we have a common entry to engineering at DCU here. And I have students from a range of backgrounds coming in. So it's a diversity of student learners problem, essentially. So even in the situation where you've got people who have done Leaving Cert, which is most of our students, they still will have done different topics. So coming to an Irish education context, this was quite different from me working with A-level students, where students were much more kind of homogeneous, essentially. We also have PLC courses, mature students, and international qualifications. And I would describe the first year of an engineering degree as we're putting all of these students into a kind of a big filter, and we're trying to get to the point where they have some sort of standard base level that we can then build on as the later years of the program go on. So this led me to my first design consideration, which is essentially I've got students with a wide range of prior learning experiences. And my second design consideration is that there are a lot of students in my class. So this year I had 234 students registered. So this is what I mean by a large class, because I think it's kind of important to say, how big is a large class? For some people, it'll be 50 students. So that's what we're working with here. So I've taken my input problem and I've just pulled it across to the slide. Added to this, I have what I would term kind of an output side challenge as well. So, like I said, this is a common entry to engineering. And what this means is that the students coming out of the other side of my module will have a different range of destinations and they will need different levels of electronics. So some students, they won't take any other electronics other than my module. Other students will take different levels of electronics as they progress through their program. So we've got a diversity of needs on the output side as well. So this is my other design consideration. I've only got 3, I promise, is that students are going to progress to a different range of degree programs, and that I also need to take into account. But what this means essentially is I have this tiny little slither of this whole design which is within my control. So that's my module, and this is where I was trying to figure out, with all these constraints, what can I do to try and make something a bit more personalized. So I've just pulled across my design considerations from my previous slides. So design consideration 1, the diversity of student backgrounds. Consideration 2 is that I've got a large class, and 3 is that I've got students have different needs after they've finished this course as well. So my research question, my design question is there a way I can provide the information and learning that individual students need in an efficient manner? And my solution was to try and use Moodle Lesson. It was something that I was kind of aware existed, but this was the first opportunity I really had to have a play around with it because it seemed like a really good opportunity. I'm going to add a couple of caveats here. So first of all is that I am not an educational developer. I am a lecturer. I've dipped my toe into Moodle Lesson. There is a lot more functionality that I haven't used. So this is a beginner's perspective rather than that of an expert user. I am a fairly confident Moodle user, but I'm not an expert in its ins and outs of all its functionality. And my second caveat is just that because this was new to me, I decided to play around with just one lab session in the module, because if something did go horribly wrong, I could minimize that kind of challenge. So I used this for the first laboratory session of the module, and that worked for a whole range of operational reasons as well. So that was my overall view about what I was trying to achieve from an educational design perspective. Now I'm going to talk about the more technical stuff. So my kind of caveat, it's just to say the interface in Moodle for the lesson is not intuitive in the slightest. So here is a screen grab. This is what it looks like. So you've got it set up in Moodle Lesson, and this is the sort of interface you are faced with. So it does get easier with practice, and you have different types of pages, but this is not going to be great for someone that's maybe not so confident using Moodle in the first place. So because of this, I really, really recommend that you need to have a design before you start trying to put things into Moodle. So you need to have that kind of logical structure of what you're trying to achieve and then put it into Moodle. Otherwise, you'll end up spending time designing things that you might get trapped in dead ends with your logical control flow. It is a bit of a challenge, but I think it's worth it. So I'm going to talk you through my flowchart. I love a flowchart. I'm an engineer. Anyone who knows flowcharts, I apologize for reusing symbols, but here we go. So this is essentially my design. So we start off with a landing page where we welcome students to it, and then they go through into a matching question, and this just asks them some questions about key parameters. So it's drop down boxes, complete the sentences, match the sentences, very similar amount of functionalities you would have in a loop quiz, but it's just embedded within a lesson. So when they do the matching, if they don't get the correct answer, they have the next page will show them some feedback, and then they'll be invited to reattempt it. I set this up so they couldn't progress until they had the correct answers, because it was a very kind of short matching question. So I've got the feedback built in there. Once that's correct, it takes them down to a next page. So anything I've got in a square box is just kind of some content, some information, essentially. This was introducing them to the multimeter that they'd need to use to take measurements of current and voltage. Then after that, we take them down to the next content page, which introduces them to, okay, now you're going to measure some voltage. And this is where the kind of personalization starts to come in a little bit. So one of the things I thought is, oh, I might have students that are confident with this, students that aren't. So they had the option to click on a button that would give them optional extra info, which would take them off to a different resource page. They could get that information, and then after that, it took them back round into the main part of the lesson, which was a multiple choice question. So this was a multiple choice, just asking them to make sure they'd set up their multimeter with the correct settings, and they couldn't progress until, again, this was correct. So if it was incorrect, they got the feedback and were prompted to repeat it again. And then when it was correct, they went up through into a new page, which asked them to enter the numbers that they saw on the screen using a numerical question format. Again, very similar types of format you'll see in Loop Moodle quiz. If they got that wrong, they got some feedback, and then I took them through to the next page, which was the next bit of content, and so on. So that's my basic lesson structure. There are some interactive elements here that I've encoded, but I wondered if there was a way I could try and make it even more personalized, because I have a lot of experience in teaching electronics. I know the sorts of things students struggle with, and I was thinking of, if I can't in a big class sit next to someone and help guide them through the sort of common things to check, how can I try and structure it so they can do that themselves? So this led me on to the kind of concept of personalization, and how could I build this into the design? So this is a video, there is no sound in it. I'm just going to talk you through, but I just want to kind of show you as close as I can, kind of a student's eye view of it. So this is a little bit messy because it's in editing mode. So students, this display would be much simpler. But what we have here is, when we start off, we just have some content. So this is giving them the instructions for what they need to do. You can do your formatting how you want it. You can include images. This was just asking them to build this circuit. And then at the bottom, there's two buttons. So the light either comes on or the light doesn't. If the light does nothing, they can press that, and you go to step one. Have you checked this? So I give them the sort of the most common wrong problem I would find and ask them to check it, and then to give them steps they can follow to fault find themselves. Then again, we've got the picture of what they're trying to do again. Then at the bottom, we've got that other that says that, does it work now? And if it does work, they jump straight to the next bit. If it doesn't, there's something else they can check. And this is, again, me just trying to pour the wealth of my experience into Loop so people can help themselves. And again, now we've got the, oh, does this work? Yes or no? And then the final step, if it still wasn't working, was, okay, now ask for help, but also frame the asking for help in a way that this is how to explain what you've tried, and explaining that, you know, this is a way that it's a skill, explaining what's not working as well. And then this is just showing the final step that you could jump to at any point if it was working, first of all, and then we just go on to the next bit of content. So that shows you that there's a very straight path that you can follow through to that point, or you can go through these series of fault checking measures and do it. And students could obviously repeat these lessons as much as they wanted to as well. So my takeaways. The implementation. I designed this to be completed asynchronously. So the idea is that this was meant to be, you could do it at home, because if we had students arriving late because of leaving cert results, remarking, things like that, visa challenges for students, it was designed to be asynchronous. However, most of the students decided to sit in the lab and do it after they collected their lab kit. But this meant that I actually got feedback live on how they found it. And students found navigating through it really straightforward. None of them had any issues with it. So that was really reassuring. The main challenge is the significant initial time investment, but this is anything you do in Moodle space, it is going to take some time investment, but you will get that time investment back because you can obviously reuse anything that you do. The one thing I will say is that you will need to spend a fair bit of time just testing it to make sure you don't get trapped in kind of logical dead ends, and that's why the design is really important. Just with lessons specifically, I would say the interface in Moodle is not intuitive in the slightest. So there is a bit of a learning curve for as a designer there. Students have to be registered on Moodle, obviously, to be able to access this, which leads on to my challenge that it's very difficult to produce paper versions of this due to the very nature of it. And because of that, it's also really difficult to produce a teacher or a demonstrator kind of answer sheet. So I ended up just doing screen grabs of the correct bits and chucking them into a Word document that I turned into a PDF. So that could be better as well. But my key takeaways is that I wasn't put off. I would like to keep doing this. I think there's definitely something valuable here. It did work. I had 230 odd students destruction testing it, and it did work. But my kind of question is, from seeing people in the lab, people were talking, people were working together. That's something we encourage. Is there any thoughts on how we can take Loop Lesson, which is very personalised, and make it more collaborative for students in a laboratory environment? I don't have an answer. That's something I would like to pose more generally as that challenge between personalisation and collaboration. And that's everything from me. Thank you.